All right, good to see everybody. Obviously, a huge week for us. The Toledo game was a hard one. We were just really disappointed. Like I said in my press conference that night, give Coach Candle and their team and their staff a lot of credit. They made the plays when they had to, and we didn't. But that one hurt, but we really didn't have time to wallow in it or feel sorry for ourselves because it's a short week and we're playing a top 25 team again in this first month of the season, who's undefeated and leads the nation in rushing. So there's no time to feel sad about the last one because we have an incredible challenge and an incredible task getting ready to play these guys this week. They've got really good players across the board, veteran offensive line. Their quarterback is a big-time playmaker. Their two defensive ends are fantastic. Their linebacking core is outstanding. The mock kid is big time. So they got a lot of good players, and this is a hell of a challenge for us. So we're hard at work getting ready to play, and that's about it.
Good afternoon, Coach. What have you thought about Chev? I mean, we're 4 games in now. He's kind of on pace to kind of replicate what he did last season. What have you thought about his performance 4 games into the season?
I think Chevin is an awesome player and a great leader and a great human being. We're very lucky to have him in our program. And I think Chevin would tell you that he can play better. I think there's some throws he'd like to have back from the other night. I think we also, collectively need to do a better job in terms of the situation we put him in, whether that's, the decisions we make and the plays we call or kind of, how we protect him. So, that's been a big conversation this week because he is such a valuable asset to our team. And, we go as he goes a little bit on offense. So, this has been the last few days have been a lot of conversation, a lot of analyzation of what we can do to give him a better chance to make plays, throwing the ball with his legs, like all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of where we're at.
And then just following up on that, talking to him, he's reached all these milestones, 10,000 career passing yards, climbing the ladder as the Mountain West touchdown leader. When I talked to him about it, he doesn't really care. He says his answer is always, I don't care about that stuff. What does that say about him that he only really cares about winning and losing?
Yeah, he's amazing that way. He's incredibly unselfish, right? Which in my experience, that's what normally your best players are unselfish, great teammates, and that's what Chevin is to his core. And like I said, we're fortunate that he's here, and I'm excited. He's our quarterback. I can't wait for the rest of the season with him. I'm excited to see him play Friday night.
Hi, Coach. I'm Christian from the Spear, and my question is, what are your thoughts on Fernando Carmona Jr.'s NIL deal with Cali Wet Burrito?
I think it's awesome. The players can benefit from their name, image, and likeness. I'm optimistic that more businesses and more people in the South Bay will get behind the student athletes, here or Santa Clara or Stanford or wherever. Giving young people the opportunity to benefit from that and use their profile and their platform for some good. And I think that's an awesome way to do it. And Fernando Carmona is one of the best young leaders I've ever seen on a football team. He is everything that if you are a business, you want to support because he's fantastic. Just talk to him. The kid is amazing. He's got this incredible personality. He's very intelligent. He's got this, big smile. He's awesome.
Then following up, have you tried the burrito?
I have. It's good. And it makes sense that it's an O-lineman burrito, right? It's not for the faint of heart. It's it's when, at the ripe old age of 50, I'm a half. It's not a, getting through that thing on a single sit down is quite a task for me.
Real quick, backpacking off of that, how long was the nap you took afterwards?
Yeah, no, it's a big sleep inducer, right? And I'm not trying to go to sleep right now, so in the season that's off limits. We got too much work to do, but I think it's cool. I think it's really cool, and I think it's awesome to see the San Jose community rally around our players and rally around our program. That's been something that's been a focal point for us since we got here 7 years ago, and I think we continue to make strides that way, whether that's through stuff like that or you see the people showing up to watch them play. Go to a soccer game. The stands were full the other night. There's just a lot of really cool stuff happening at San Jose State right now, and it's awesome to see our community engage the university and our student athletes in a meaningful way.
And then, so for Air Force and Troy Calhoun, in your opinion, what is kind of the secret sauce behind his staying power? 17 years is pretty insane.
He's a fantastic football coach. He's so good. He's an incredible human being. And having spent a bunch of time with him, in my head, I go back to during COVID when we had to have all these head coaches meetings on Zoom. And like, he's really a creative thinker, you know. He was like coming up with all these like really like outside the box ideas about how we could find a way to play, how we could combine other sports. Like, he was really, really cool that way. I have so much respect for him and his staff and just really the academy in general. Like, you know, all those kids that make that choice, you know, God bless them. You know, thank you for that. You know, they're making a way different choice than I'm making or my players are making. So we just have a ton of respect for the academy and for Coach Calhoun and those players there.
So just follow up on that. When you said creativity, I can't think of an offense more creative than a triple option attack that they have. Do you kind of see those parallels between creativity and then that?
Absolutely, because they change a little bit every year. You know, they do a great job adjusting to their personnel. They're different this year than they were last year, and different this year than they were 3 years ago when we played them last. You know, he just and even the rules have changed a little bit too, right? And they've had to find a way to be effective within the new structure of you know, college football and kind of the blocking and the cut blocking and some of those rules that have changed. So I just give those guys credit, man. They're an outstanding football program. They do it right, and it's impressive to me. Very impressive.
Totally agree. I try to watch that. I watched the 2020 game, you know, what they're trying to do. And I'm really curious from, let's say if I'm Jordan Pollard or if I'm Trey Jenkins, like, what are you telling me as a defender, like the discipline, what to look for and how to, you know, how to play that?
Yeah, that's a really hard part of it, right? Because you know, the unique thing, and I would say even a little bit more unique because we have less time to prepare this week, you know, than even they do for us because they had an extra day, right? So it's a way different, you know, the discipline part of it, and they're also running a scheme that you don't see very often, right? Like, it's not like we see this scheme 5 times a year. You know, we've seen this scheme once, you know, and that's it. So, you know, I think that's a real challenge of it, and trying to get your players to get their eyes in the right place and to play with the required physicality. And I also think there's a certain component of just like staying in the fight. Just, you know what I mean? Like, don't get discouraged. They're going to go for it on 4th down. They're going to run it every play. You know, just like, you got to understand who they are and how they're built and get your mind right for what that is.
You kind of touched on just the short week preparation-wise. How do you balance just trying to practice physicality while also knowing that this is also a short week? Got to get these guys ready for Friday without, you know, getting too sore and things like that.
I think it's a combination of, you know, the players have to choose to be tough, and they have to, you know, I think everybody has a choice to make when they wake up in the morning, and I think that's part of it. Like, they just have to choose toughness and choose the discipline that it's going to take to play consistently good physical football against a top 25 team that runs it better than everybody in the country, right? Like, so that's, I think that's a mindset, and it is challenging, and I think that's one of the reasons that they've been so successful is because they're very good at it.
And so after Air Force, you guys won't play at home for about a month, like a little bit less than that. How important is a strong performance to kind of keep that fan engagement and fan retention?
I'm sure that's important. That's not really the way I think. You know what I mean? Not having another home game for a month is just the blessing of this, you know, fortunate schedule we have this year. You know, I don't think of it that way. You know, but I also understand that your fans, like, you need to play good football for your fans to show up. You know what I mean? So I totally get that. You know, I think our administration is doing everything they can to make the game day experience here a positive one, and everyone I talk to is like having a great time coming to the games here. You know, that's been the feedback I've gotten from my friends, extended friends, family, random people that I see on the street who are like, "Hey, Coach, had a great time at the game Saturday." You know, so that part of it I think is really positive. But I think, you know, especially in the state of California, you know, like, you know, California fans, like, they like a winner, and I get it. And in order to get them to come out on the level we need them to, we need to play good football.
You look at the record, obviously 3-0, number 1 ranked team in rushing and whatnot, and just, you know, who they are and what they are. But you still look at like analytics or analysts, it's just a 3-point swing either way. So what does that say about Spartans?
What do you mean a 3?
Well, meaning like there's still people looking at this is still an evenly matched game, kind of similar to last week. I mean, people were expecting maybe a blowout or maybe just being a one-way game, but you have all the pieces there and everything's looking good still, despite the record.
You know, I think we have a good football team here. You know, we just can't really prove it yet by our record, and that's the hardest thing that you deal with as a head coach and as a staff, and even for your players, right? Like, I think you know, that's maybe something different that this generation deals with that mine didn't. You know, where they're reminded daily on Twitter that we're 1-3. You know, where like when I played, you were like, no, we're just getting ready for the next game. You know, like that didn't really, like, people didn't make you feel that all the time the way young people now have to deal with that. It's just a different world that they grow up in. But I also think that there have been moments of really good football by this team this year, and I do think there is some confidence that way. And I think as frustrated and as disappointed as we were the other night, I think we also felt like we had a real chance to win that game, and if we fix a couple things and play with a little more discipline, I think there's another chance for us to feel great at the end of the night. So, you know, this one is just a totally different challenge, right, in terms of what they do and who they are and how they play. So, but I do think, you know, this team is excited to play. You know, the good news, bad news of a short week is at least we get to play again. You know what I mean? We don't have to wait another day, or we don't have a bye or whatever. So, you know, I think that part of it, we'll be excited to play. I think we're going to have a great crowd here at CEFCU. I think the students and the fans and our alums are going to show up, and I'm optimistic that will create a little bit of a home field for us, because that's been impactful when we have had a good crowd here over the years and our fans have been actively engaged. That has made it hard on our opponents at times. So I'm hopeful that we can have a raucous, lively Friday night in CEFCU, you know, with a great opponent.
Has this season been, the start of this season, been a little bit more difficult than others, considering just the strength of schedule, the injuries, everything that's kind of gone into the first 4 games?
You know, I think the schedule, God, I get asked this question so much. You know, the schedule is what the schedule is, you know. When I was an assistant coach here, we opened at Alabama, and then we went to Utah, then we came back and played Wisconsin. You know, I mean, like, it's, you know, that's kind of part of the nature of how our schedules are built here sometimes, and you don't have any other choice but to play it. And so would I have liked us to play better against USC or Oregon State or Toledo? Sure. Yeah, absolutely I would have, and so would our players. But if we spend time looking back, we're going to miss what's right in front of us and what is ahead. And that's what's most important, because we can't do anything about what happened last weekend. But we can certainly get ready to play this game Friday night, and that's where we need to be.